Jai Hind, dear students. So, welcome to Road to Recommendation. Today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Nitendra Pratap Singh. Very impressive name, I would say. So, why I brought Nitendra here is he got recommended in his ninth attempt. And ninth attempt, mein, he was able to bag All India rank 10. It was SSC Tech 61. And I think we all might be able to learn quite a lot of things because his journey started off 6 years back. So he has made a lot of changes to his life. He has added, I would say, quite a lot of elements to his personality. So that will be the goal of this interview, to try to dig up all of this. And due to technical issues, we will not be getting the video feed of Nitendra. So we'll manage somehow with the audio only. So without further ado, let's welcome Nitendra. So a very warm good afternoon to you, Nitendra.
Good afternoon, sir. Jai Hind, everyone.
जय हिंद नितेंद्र। तो नितेंद्र, सबसे पहले जरा इंटरव्यू की बात अगर हम चालू करेंगे, तो सबसे पहले लेट्स जस्ट ट्राई एंड अंडरस्टैंड. I would love to get to know about you as a person, like what kind of a person Nitendra is. So first let's start off with the question. आपने कौन से ईयर में प्रिपरेशन स्टार्ट किया था?
Yes, sir. So, sir, my journey started back in 2017 when I was giving my first SSB for NDA 139 course. That was my first attempt and it was for NDA Navy 139 course. तो उसमें मैं 12 SSB बैंगलोर से I got conferenced out. उसके बाद I did not have attempts for NDA. उसके बाद I enrolled in engineering और engineering करते करते फिर I started giving attempts for FCAT. That was my second attempt. So I gave my second attempt after graduation, or I would say mid-graduation in my 8th semester itself. So that's when it began, sir. And thereafter I gave more attempts. So and I got recommended in my final and last attempt, hopefully, fingers crossed, for SSC Tech 61, sir.
Okay, Nitendra. So now that we have that information, you started off in 2017. So it has been what, 6 years so far?
6 years, sir.
That's quite a long journey, and I'm sure a very interesting one. So, Nitendra, before we get into your journey, I would like to get to know more about Nitendra as a person. Like, where does he come from? Who is Nitendra? What does he like? What kind of a person he is? So, could you just please very briefly elaborate on that?
Yes, sir. So, my full name is Nitendra Pratap Singh. I come from a small town in Madhya Pradesh. I finished my 12th from Bhopal, Campion School. And thereafter, I enrolled in engineering at Manipal University, Jaipur. And as a person, I would like to describe myself as very simple and open. I like to mix in with people and lead a very simple life. Though I might be simple, but I have very strong determination to achieve what I have set my mind to. And as a person, I do not ever give up. If I set my mind to something, I do it, or I die trying. So that's how I...
Knowing you, I can vouch for that, Nitendra, without a doubt. We also have a few, I would say, extracurricular activities in common that we like to bond over.
Yes, sir.
So, understanding your background, Nitendra, I would not say you're the hotshot, or typically how images being portrayed कि IIT से करने के बाद some people get into the armed forces. So I wouldn't say you come from a a very hot shot. You're just another average person.
Yes, sir. Totally. Yes, sir.
Next door person, as I would like to call it. It's the next door guy, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that puts a lot of perspective, and why I wanted to capitalize on this is because sometimes a lot of people have this question कि sir मैंने तो कुछ करा नहीं है और I come from a very normal background. So should I get recommended? Should I not? So this was just to highlight that perspective. Moving on, so Nitendra. Okay, Nitendra. So the next question. So now that we have a brief idea of you started preparation in 2017.
Yes, sir.
And you've given 9 attempts so far.
Yes, sir.
So why were you not able to make it in the previous attempts, Nitendra? And according to you, and what did you work on actually?
Yes, sir. So, sir, SSB, as we know, and most of our audience know, the Service Selection Board interview is a very comprehensive and a very technical sort of a way to assess someone. And it has been going on since, the British Indian Army to the Indian Army now. So, SSB में क्या होता है? They assess you as a person. And I won't say कि SSB में कोई task नहीं कर पाने की वजह से मेरा selection नहीं हो रहा था. because as a person, your personality should fit into that mold that they're looking for in the armed forces. And at the end of the day, it is about trust. To the assessors, at the end of the day, trust you to be,
Yeah, if they trust you, so chances of selection become better, definitely.
एग्जैक्टली तो जब मैंने अपनी जर्नी स्टार्ट की 2017 में, तो एज अ पर्सन आई वाज नॉट दिस, आई वाज वेरी रिजर्व्ड. I won't say I was shy, but I was very very overconfident, and that overconfident confidence came from not being good enough. तो जब आप किसी चीज में अच्छे नहीं होते तो आप ना एक ऑल्टर ईगो अपना सुपर इम्पोज करके उस पर यू ट्राई टू शो दैट ओ नो आई एम कॉन्फिडेंट. बट अगर आप अंदर से कॉन्फिडेंट हो तो आपको बाहर को दिखाने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो आई थिंक वो एक बहुत ही मेजर चीज थी जिससे मैंने काफी स्ट्रगल किया 4 या 5 साल.
Okay.
I was trying to be somebody who I was not. Yes, sir.
Some people call it false ego, I think.
Exactly, sir.
Okay.
तो दोनों ही चीजें आई बिलीव बहुत ही इट्स अ स्पेक्ट्रम ना, अंडर कॉन्फिडेंस, कॉन्फिडेंस एंड ओवर कॉन्फिडेंस, एंड यू ट्रॉट ऑन दी स्पेक्ट्रम. तो इट्स नॉट एब्सोल्यूट कि अभी अगर आप और मैं आज कॉन्फिडेंट है तो दैट डजंट मीन कि हम अंडर कॉन्फिडेंट नहीं होंगे आगे. व्हिच इज आल्सो आई थिंक व्हाट वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट एसएसबी कि नाउ आई मे हैव गॉटन recommended in this attempt, but it's not a god given right कि I'll get recommended tomorrow. I might get screened out also. So it's a it's not absolute. It's a very very dynamic process, and I'm very thankful to God and everyone around me that I got recommended. But it's a process, and it is unique for every individual. It is based on your personality. There is no hard and fast rule. जो मेरी पर्सनालिटी है उसके साथ कोई और रेकमेंड नहीं होगा, किसी और की पर्सनालिटी के साथ मैंने बहुत रेकमेंड होने का ट्राई किया, मैं भी नहीं हूँ.
Okay, interesting. So, two things you've talked about, Nitendra, यहाँ पे. One is false ego
Yes, sir.
and being someone who you were not, right?
Yes, sir.
And initially भी आपने तीन चीजें, I would say तीन चीजें, है ना?
Yes, sir.
One is the first thing that you talked about was that you were reserved to a certain extent, right?
Yes, sir.
So first thing that. Second thing you talked about was false ego, coming
Yes.
out of arising out of incompetence, I would say.
Incompetence, yes, sir. Totally.
Okay, great. And the third thing was you were trying to be someone else, right?
True, sir.
हाँ. So इन तीनों बातों पे जरा हम थोड़ा सा एक गहरे रूप से चर्चा करने की कोशिश करते हैं. So
Yes, sir.
starting off with the first thing that you said that reserved nature, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate with it. Personally, I have also been there. So
Yes, sir.
what made you overcome that, and how did you overcome this thing?
तो सर अगर हम रिजर्व नेचर की बात करते हैं तो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द लाइफ ऑफ एन आर्मी ऑफिसर, यू देयर आर इंटरेस्टेड विद द कमांड ऑफ योर मेन एंड योर पीपल. So you have to be someone who has to communicate and open up. And if you're reserved and if you shy away from talking to people, how are you going to manage your men? You won't be able to. So it's the requirement of the job. And you might be, you might have a reserved personality, but that can be changed and it can be overcome because it is the need of the hour, and you have to change it about yourself.
How did you
So
do that, Nitendra?
I changed my personality over time. So I started with my friends. I started opening up to them because एक reserve nature का I think ये होता है कि कई बार आप trust नहीं करते हो. Other, you don't trust the other people with your secrets. You don't trust. You have a very sort of superficial relationship with them, even your friends, that you shy away from opening up to them. So I think the number one thing here is opening up. Just open up, share whatever good, bad, indifferent feelings or things you have, because if you bottle them up and keep it inside you constantly, you would keep struggling with them. But if you write it out, if you discuss it with your friends, you would be be able to open up. Yes, sir.
I would
So
like to
that is one
summarize
thing
here,
about reserve personality.
Nitendra. I think we've covered it in a previous video also. Talking about your thoughts and emotions around any event, any action, it
Yes, sir.
helps you communicate. Is what I do.
Exactly.
Okay, ठीक है. So you started off with your friends. You started opening up with your friends and the people who were immediately around you. So that made you
Yes, sir.
a bit more comfortable with everything.
Yes, sir.
Right?
And also, sir, doing things that you're not comfortable in. For instance, I as a person, I don't like going out much. I don't like parties. I I enjoy working hard. I enjoy going for my runs. I enjoy working out. I enjoy doing martial arts. बट देन वो आपका कंफर्ट जोन नहीं बनना चाहिए कि अगर मार्शल आर्ट्स आपको आपका कंफर्ट बन गया है तो देन यू नीड टू गो आउट एंड टॉक टू पीपल यू शुड डू वट एवर यू आर अनकंफर्टेबल इन अदरवाइज यू वुड गेट इन टू दैट कुकून ऑफ यू नो of something that you don't want to become because as a person you must be very rounded आप वो करो जो आपको करने में डिस्कम्फर्ट आता है तभी आप ग्रो कर सकते हो अदरवाइज यू वुड just become very shitty as a human being you would not be complete.
Very nicely put by you, Nitin. So there's on each day there should be a certain amount of activities which you rather find unsettling, but then you
Yes.
still go out and face them just for the sake
Yes,
of
sir.
improving your personality, right?
Yes, sir.
So that you ensure that you're stepping out of your comfort zone also.
Yes, sir.
Very well put, Nitin. So
Yes.
okay, so that was the first pillar.
Yes,
Now
sir.
let's come to the second part,
The false ego.
the false ego. Yes.
Yes. False ego, sir, क्या होता है as human beings when we traverse through our existence तो कई कई चीजें हम aspire करते हैं कि यार मुझे ऐसा बनना है एंड देर इज अ वेरी सेट पाथ कि अगर आपका CDS का एग्जामिनेशन है OTA का तो देन यू हैव टू स्टडी इंग्लिश एंड GS में देर आर n number of subjects that you have to study. So there is a very set roadmap that you finish your syllabus and if you practice and if you revise properly you will be able to do good in the exam. Now the other route is to just be confident सुबह उठ के just सोचो कि मैं तो मेरा हो जाएगा positive this that lot of things are there in the market.
What was
But
that
then
defined route for you, Nitendra? What was that defined route for you when it comes to the SSB?
So when it came to the SSB, the defined route, it was actually defined over time because you don't know what is the perfect recipe for it. But for me, it was कि मेरा hard work का threshold ना cross हो गया था. So I had stopped caring about the result of the SSB and I was not concerned with the recommendation or not getting recommended. I was just in the moment. I was just doing what was told to me, and I did it. So that's where the false ego, was shattered away.
Okay.
क्योंकि पहले आप ये सोचते हो कि आप कॉन्फ्रेंस के बाहर कि यार मैं recommend होऊंगा या नहीं होऊंगा. That's what I used to think also. But during my last and final attempt, what happened was I was not concerned with it at all. I have done my part. Now the result is immaterial.
Okay. So Nitendra, you just mentioned that एक hard work का जो एक level है वो exceed हो गया था.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
my question is कि वो hard work का level जो है वो आपने achieve जब करा,
Yes, sir.
what all things did you work on? Like if you're saying कि मतलब knowledge का घड़ा भर गया है अगर, how did you fill that घड़ा, so-called figurative घड़ा of your knowledge? What all did you do? What all did you put in it?
Yes. So I would divide the SSB preparation into two parts. One is the technical side of the SSB, our story writing, the WATs, reading the news, reading geopolitical articles, knowing about the information. And second is your personality, because SSB is a very healthy mixture of both of these things. If you do not have the right proportion, you would never get recommended.
100%.
So I divided both of these things, and when it came to the technical side, I wrote stories. I wrote at least 10 to 15 stories every day, TAT stories, and got it confirmed by you. I used to share my stories, my WATs, the SRTs with you, and used to give me proper feedback as to क्या उसमें stories में आपका show हो रहा है, what all things you need to work upon. Then the news reading parts, I used to go through magazines like CSR and used to read the newspaper every single day. Then the discussions with my friends, GDs on topics. Then the lecturate part, I used to practice lecturate in front of the mirror. I also wrote all my answers, all the CIQs that were possible, and I used to rehearse them in front of the mirror in order to see how the final product and the output जो कि आयु को दिखता है वो कैसे होगा. Then so the personality, because if you don't have a personality, if you're not a simple and genuine, honest human being, what is the point? Because the assessors वहाँ पे they're very trained. They know who you are inside out within 5 minutes of interacting with you. They know who you are. They know what you are about. So in personality, I used to just reach out to my elders, reach out to my bosses, my managers, reach out to my friends, try to actually understand what their issues in life are and try to solve them. Have a genuine laugh with them, joke around, go out, but in a limit. It should not, किसी भी चीज को आपको ऐसे नहीं करना है कि अगर आप दोस्तों के साथ घूम रहे हो तो घूम ही रहे हो, नो. या फिर अगर आप पढ़ रहे हो तो आपने एक ना वेरी डिस्ट्रक्टिव कंफर्ट जोन बना दिया है इसको कि मैं सिर्फ पढ़ाई करूंगा, मैं इंटरेक्ट नहीं करूंगा. आपको दोनों चीजें करना है.
100%.
ये सब मेरे साथ ऐसा होता था कि व्हेन आई एम स्टडीइंग और मुझे कंफर्ट जोन मिल गया है कि नो आई फील कंफर्टेबल नाउ, so I used to go out with my friends. So that's what I used to do.
So, question, circling back to the original question, is knowledge के perspective से अगर हम बात करें, तो आपने
Yes, sir.
क्या मतलब किन broad topics पे क्या preparation करी आपने? Just एक बार brief में बता दें so that everyone can reach that level of कि अब तो हो गया था.
Yes, sir. So when it comes to technical knowledge, sir, I think people should be aware about basics of the Indian Army and basics of their entry. If you're applying through SSC Tech, you should be, I won't say you should be a very, very good engineer, but an engineer who knows his subjects. You should know your core subjects and you should be competent. Whatever you're doing, you should be competent. So when it comes to the knowledge parts of first, the basics, your knowledge of the subjects. The third one is you should be aware of the surroundings that are happening, about the news, about whatever is happening geopolitically with India. So you should be aware of these three things are the very basic of the technical side of the preparation of the SSB.
Okay, so thanks for that in a very well organized manner.
So
Next, moving on, which was you were trying to be yourself. Sorry, someone
Yes.
who you are not. You were trying to be
Yes, sir.
someone who you are not.
Not.
Correct. So, how was that happening, and how did you recognize it? How did you stop
Yes.
it?
So, sir, अभी तो इतने interviews आ गए हैं, but when I gave my India attempt, so there were blogs and Quora पे ना बहुत सारे articles आते थे of people who had gotten recommended. So when we didn't know about the SSB, what to do, what not to do, and आपका जब एक attempt हो जाता है जिसमें you are not successful and you got confidence out, so then you think that your base personality जो आपकी अभी है, it is not good enough for the armed forces. ये बहुत लोगों के साथ होता है कि अगर आपका एक attempt में नहीं हुआ है तो आप सोचते हो कि maybe I'm not made for it, maybe I'm not cut out for it, but take it from me, every single buddy has the potential to make it, every single one. It is just that you have to hone your personality in the manner that they want. So sir, ये trying to be somebody I was not, ये मेरे second attempt से और ज़्यादा हो गया कि मैं SSBs देने जा रहा हूँ, बार-बार conference out होके आ रहा हूँ, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth attempt, you're not able to make it. So you see people who have gotten recommended and you try to imbibe their traits, which in a way is it's also a very good manner to become better.
Okay.
When you're constantly trying to reassess who you are as a person and what you need to be to get recommended.
So was
So,
it at a superficial level or on a deeper level too?
So with me, it was both. There were some traits जो बहुत ही superficial थे. For instance, trying to appear confident when you're really not.
Okay.
But what I understood in my final attempt, जहाँ पे मैं recommend हुआ, कि it is not about trying to appear confident. It is about having that genuineness with you. Confidence is secondary. If you can have a conversation with the IO and be genuine about it, be genuine about your weaknesses, be genuine about your strengths, whatever your relationship with your friends and family is, if you can be just honest with him, you can make it. So I think confidence is secondary. Of course, confidence is required when you're narrating, when you're giving lectures, when you're discussing with among your friends. Confidence is required. It's very important, but it is not more important than being true to yourself.
Okay. So what you're trying to highlight here, from what I can gather, Nitendra, is that eventually competence leads to confidence, right?
Yes. Honestly, totally. So.
Understanding whatever is being asked or whatever is being presented before you, so and being able to analyze and respond to according to that. So what kind of changes did you make when we talk about the deep level changes, Nitendra, during these during this process?
So if we talk about the course of 1.5 years, जो अभी रिसेंट में हो गया था आफ्टर माई ग्रेजुएशन सर. I would say as a person I started speaking more. I was very used to be reserved as I mentioned earlier. So I started speaking more and expressing myself more because when you do that you're able to showcase what you have inside.
Okay.
That was number one. Second was fitness also. Fitness is something that you have to constantly work upon. The third one was knowledge regarding my engineering subjects. Because
Very
professional competence is paramount, sir. If I am going to be an engineer in the armed forces, I need to be a competent engineer first, and then I can be, a good orator or a good whatever, planner, leader, whatever. All that is secondary, but first is professional competence. If you don't have it, don't go. Be competent first. The fourth one was, as I was working in corporate for 1.5 years, so it taught me how to plan things, organize my day-to-day activities. For instance, if we can just take one example, sir, in the course of preparation for my CDS written examination, I learned how to read and process information in a very comprehensive manner. तो जो पढ़ाई करने का जो डिसिप्लिन है, वो भी आई थिंक मेरे अंदर इंजीनियरिंग के दिनों में तो नहीं था, बट फिर आ गया. CDS एग्जाम देते थे तो ये भी काफी बड़ा चेंज था सर.
Okay, so you're talking more about कि self study कैसे करना था. You got a grip around it, right? That,
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is how I need to proceed without any external help.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. इसके अलावा जब हम बात करें, so next we come on to the books part, right?
Sir.
There were people who inspired you to change.
Yes.
There were experiences that inspired you to change. There must have been some books too, which you imbibed in day-to-day life. So just point it out for us, Nitendra, and which all books did you read, and which all did you imbibe or use them in practical?
Yes, sir. So when we talk about books, reading is one of my favorite hobbies. I like reading. So there were a few books. The first one is The Book of Five Rings by legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi. He was someone who was undefeated in one-on-one duels, and those duels were to death. So that guy has put down information that he used in order to survive those one-on-one matches. And the Book of Five Rings is, it is like the Art of War by Sun Tzu, but it is for an individual. The Art of War is for generals and for the armies to read. But the Book of Five Rings is something that you can use as a journal. You can read it every day and imbibe it because it teaches you the importance of repetition. That's the essence of the book. It is study it thoroughly, do whatever you can with repetitions. If you're trying to jab or if you're trying to punch, do that jab 10,000 times. Only then will you be able to understand the essence of the jab. You would be able to understand the essence of the sport. So repetitions and practice. That's what I got from that book, the Book of Five Rings. Then another book is No Hero by Mark Owen. It's a pseudonym for Matthew Bissonnette, who was a Navy SEAL, who was one of the guys who shot Osama.
Okay, interesting.
Now, No Hero was one book that I bought in 2016. It teaches about the lessons that Mark Owen, gathered throughout his career as a Navy SEAL. So one thing I would like to point out, staying in your 3-foot world. Whenever you are in, situations wherein you cannot control anything, just think about your 3-foot world. What can I do right now that would affect? If you can't affect it, just stop thinking about it.
Okay, 3-foot hold, is it?
3-foot world. आपके immediate surroundings में ही आपकी existence है पूरी, the global coordinate system के according आपका जो coordinate है बस वो वही है, the 3-figured coordinate. So just stay in your 3-foot world. If you can reach out to the mug that is kept in front of you, reach out, pick it up, put it down. That's it. Now you cannot, आप अपना हाथ 30 फुट तक नहीं बढ़ा सकते. You cannot affect anything outside your 3-foot world. So if you cannot affect it, stop thinking about it.
Interesting. So you're basically talking about this particular concept talks about the things that you can control, right?
Yes, sir.
And which you can influence. So let's
Yes,
focus
sir.
more on them rather than
Yes, sir.
being a victim of the circumstances.
And also, sir, I would like to, expand on this point, having the 3-foot world. Imagine the scenario of the SSB. आप GD में बैठे हुए हो. There is a discussion going on. Now, हमारी एक टेंडेंसी होती है ह्यूमन बींग्स की टू स्ट्रेस अबाउट द रिजल्ट कि जीटीओ सर क्या सोच रहे होंगे, कौन क्या सोच रहा होगा. नो, इट्स नॉट अबाउट दैट. व्हाट कैन यू डू राइट नाउ? यू कैन जस्ट लिसन, प्रोसेस, गिव योर पॉइंट्स. व्हाट इज योर एम? in that universe at that point in time is just to be a good listener and a good speaker. Just discuss. So that is where the essence of the threefold world. When you're giving lecturate, पूरी दुनिया exist नहीं करती. 3 मिनट तक आपको सिर्फ एक अच्छा lecture देना है. Your existence does not matter apart from that. This is the kind of mindset that I think one should strive for. That is what I did.
Okay, okay, interesting. Okay. Next, so दो books के अलावा third one.
Yes, sir. The third one is 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. It's a very famous book and it teaches you, 33 Strategies of War is one book that teaches you how to interact with people. Because आप एक सोसाइटी में जाते हो तो हर तरह के लोग होते हैं. बहुत सारे, overt अच्छे लोग होते हैं. But, in covert mode, they are not as good to you. They want to, sabotage your things. Then you meet people who are very good. Then you meet people who are, overtly very bad. So it teaches you how to, engage with the world. It teaches you by giving examples that even great people who have, lived in the past, they went through the same shit that you're going through right now. So I think that is 33 Strategies of War. It's a very must read. Even the GCs at the OTA have, recommended this book. So it is must check out, I would say.
100%. We definitely will check this one out, Nitendra.
Yes, sir. And fourth one is, sir, Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday. It's a book on stoicism. It gives you, so the essence of that book is also, repetition. And Discipline is Destiny is one book. It teaches you how to, manage your day-to-day activities, how to do long-term planning, how to have the discipline of effort in each and everything. Because if you don't have a set routine, if you don't have a set discipline routine, you cannot achieve anything. You cannot clear the exam, you cannot crack the SSB. So this is one of the best books that I've read to date.
Okay. So these there are these 4 books that you would recommend if
Yes,
you want
sir.
to read. Right.
Yes, sir.
So they brought about mostly from what I can gather is that you are such a person who would rather focus on what actions you can take, right?
Yes, sir.
And keep doing it consistently, day in, day out. Have a plan, work towards it, and keep working on it day in, day out. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So on that note, let's move on to the next part. Yeah. So now that we have understood what kind of a person you are, Nitin,
Yes, sir.
we have a fair idea about that. Now let's get to the last attempt or the final attempt that you gave. काफी interesting होने वाला है, I know. I mean, obviously everyone wants to hear about the story of recommendation, right? So
Yes, sir.
let's take a deep dive into that, and we'll be proceeding in a fashion which is like, first we'll talk about screening, then psychology, then interview, and finally GTO. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So my question to you is, since you got screened in for SSC Tech,
Yes, sir.
so you must have some trick up your sleeve, Nitendra. I'm quite positive. So, do you care to elaborate what was your strategy during this screening process?
Yes, sir. So screening is, I would like to expand that out of the 9 attempts, मैंने 8 conferences दिए हैं, तो मैं सिर्फ एक बार screen out हुआ. तो screening was one thing जो मेरे दिमाग में हमेशा ऐसे रहता था कि I cannot take it easy. Because a lot of people what they do कि एक दो बार अगर उनका conference in हो जाता है तो they think कि now I'll get screened in every time. But ऐसे नहीं होता है. Screening is one of those chopping boards जो अच्छे लोगों को बाहर कर देता है. You might have been recommended 4 times, you still get screened out. So screening का एक बहुत ही set pattern है. There are a few things that you need to do. First is OIR, then it's your PPDT. PPDT में भी आपको सिर्फ 2 चीजों पे focus करना है. That is your story writing, your narration, and your at the end your discussion. The third thing. Now what I had done, I had made SOPs for each and every single test. OIR में 2 OIRs मेरे आने हैं, तो उन दोनों को मुझे बहुत ही ज़्यादा फोकस के साथ करना है. No matter how I am feeling at that point in time, I would give my best performance in the OIR. Number 1 thing is done. Because if you don't proceed step by step now, you are bound to fail in the screening and you'll get screened out 100% sure. Because screening is also about competition. बोर्ड के पास अगर 500 लोग आते हैं वो 30 को ही रिटेन कर सकता है क्योंकि इतना ही इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है उनके पास. So then it is about your competitive performance with others. So in order to stand out, you need to do good in every single test that you're given. So as soon as I was done with the OIR test, na sir, while writing the story, I used to take it step by step. कि स्टोरी अभी फ्लैश होगा पिक्चर एंड मुझे उसे अच्छे से देखना है, सब कुछ डिटेल्स अपने माइंड में नोट डाउन करनी है. Where was the character? Who is the central character? What was his mood, age? You know, as soon as the story writing begins, I have to note down all the details and I have to write a story. First, that comes naturally to me. ये I think जो एक बार मैं स्क्रीन आउट हुआ, उसमें मेरी सबसे बड़ी मिस्टेक यही थी कि I did not go with the first thought that came into my mind. And I tried to make a story जो I thought assessors को पसंद आएगी. Not a story that I found कि यार ये स्टोरी होनी चाहिए इसमें. Because जब स्टिमुलस आपको स्क्रीन पे दिखता है तो इनहेरेंटली यू नो कि ये थीम होना चाहिए स्टोरी का. और अगर आप उसके साथ नहीं जाते हो तो मेरे साथ तो एक ही बार मैं स्क्रीन आउट हुआ हूँ और इसी वजह से हुआ था.
Must have lost all confidence during GD.
Yes. I was not able to give my points with conviction. Because I didn't know what I'm speaking. So I wrote my story. ठीक है, स्टोरी आपने अपना लिख दिया. उसके बाद please listen to this guys. If you have 5 minutes or if you have 35 minutes, just keep narrating your story in your mind. आपका सिंगल काम सिर्फ यही है कि आपको नरेशन प्रैक्टिस करना है उस दौरान. स्टोरी आपने लिख दिया, आपका टास्क खत्म हो गया. आप अब आपका सिर्फ ये टास्क है कि आपको नरेशन प्रैक्टिस करना है. आप जितने बार भी कर सकते हो. Because a lot of time I see people who say कि हाँ मुझे तो पता है मेरी स्टोरी में क्या है, फिर जब वो नरेशन करने जाते हैं तो they fuck up very bad. You fucked up not because you gave bad narration. You fucked up because you know shied away from your task. Your task was to narrate. Your task was to practice your narration, and you did not do it. That is why you got screened out, not because you had bad narration.
Quite significant things so far we have understood what kind of a person Nitendra is. And basic idea मतलब हमें समझ में आ गया है कि journey एक broad overview हमने ले लिया है, right? So now we will be coming to the this attempt in particular, है ना, कि मतलब basic idea ये जानने की कोशिश रहेगी कि ये attempt गया कैसे exactly, different पिछले attempt से क्या करा and what he could have done better. ठीक है, and I mean general questions around this particular attempt, right? So with that in mind, Nitendra, let's first of all let's get started with the screening process, since we know that it was SSC Tech, so which is infamous for the number of candidates appearing, right? So how did you deal with the screening?
Yes, sir. So starting with this attempt, sir, this was my 9th attempt for SSC Tech 61, as you just mentioned. And this was at 31 SSB Jalandhar. So sir, with this in this attempt क्या हुआ था, 278 लोग आए थे, 278, and 36 of us got screened in. So though it is a good ratio, but actually काफी ज़्यादा लोग आए हुए थे. तो screening में as I mentioned कि मेरी सिर्फ यही strategy रहती थी to do the best in everything. And OIR तो जैसे आप सब जानते हैं सबका सेम ही जाता है, OIR 1 सब आ जाते हैं. Now then story writing भी मेरा normal ही होता था. But where I excelled or I would say shine was the narration part. तो क्या होता था कि स्टोरी राइटिंग आपकी खत्म हो गई और जब मैं नरेशन करने जाता था तो आई यूज्ड टू इंश्योर कि मेरा वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन नंबर 1 शुड बी परफेक्ट. वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन इज very crucial when you're narrating. 100%. Because अगर वो नहीं है तो आप ना कैप्चर नहीं कर पाओगे attention of the assessors and your group mates. This you need to remember.
100. It's about effective communication too, is what I feel. Nobody likes listening to a bland speech. किसी को पसंद नहीं आता है ना कि आप एक ही टोन में बोल रहे हो. So it is that's why we see a lot of every news anchor chance is हो रहा है तो जाग जाओ सनसनी types, right?
Yes sir. You have to make them listen to what you're speaking and also make eye contact and have confidence. कि जो भी आप कह रहे हो ना, to capture their attention. That is what it is all about.
It is all about, yes. And I think narration is something which is independent of anything, है ना, कि मतलब basically आपको open ground दे दिया जाता है.
Yeah.
आप घर से भी practice करके आ रहे हो, तो you can perform excellent यहाँ पे. अगर यहाँ पे मान लो आपका potential 11-12 का है और आप 8-9 की range में perform कर रहे हो, फिर आपकी गलती है. Is what I feel.
Yes sir. एंड ऑल्सो जो पीपीडीटी का जो रूम होता है जो भी डिस्कशन का, वहाँ पे देयर आर 3 एरियाज ऑफ योर रेटिंग. दैट इज योर स्टोरी, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द थीम, द नरेशन एंड द डिस्कशन. तो आपका स्टोरी का थीम तो है ना, यू डोंट नो वेदर इट इज राइट रॉन्ग, आपको स्टिमुलस जो दिखा आपने वो लिख दिया, ठीक है. देन योर नरेशन पार्ट इज डन, है ना. एज लॉन्ग एज योर वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन इज there is eye contact and there is confidence, you'll be able to narrate. Then third part is the discussion. So now अब tech में हमारा ये होता था कि we had about 14 members, तो साथ साथ करके डिवाइड हो गए, ग्रुप 1 एंड ग्रुप B बन गया, ठीक है. Now I was ग्रुप B जो कि बाद में डिस्कस करेगा.
फिश मार्केट था.
Yes, proper fish market, just like every time, like it is supposed to be. तो ग्रुप 1 का जैसे डिस्कशन खत्म हुआ ना, तो व्हाट आई इन शॉर्ट के मैं सारा ग्रुप 1 का डिस्कशन सुन रहा था, एंड आई न्यू कि उन्होंने क्या क्या, कितने मेन कैरेक्टर्स थे एंड सेंट्रल कैरेक्टर कौन था, उसका एज क्या था एंड थीम, बेसिक थीम क्या था स्टोरी का. एज सून एज उनका खत्म हुआ ना ग्रुप 1 का, तो आई द फर्स्ट पॉइंट दैट आई मेड वाज कि सिंस ग्रुप 1 हैज स्पेंट अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम इन डिस्कसिंग, लेट अस एक्सेप्ट देयर आइडिया एंड गो अहेड विद इट, ऐड मोर पॉइंटर्स टू इट. तो आपके ही ग्रुप का पार्ट है वो ग्रुप ए भी, देयर इज जस्ट अ सब ग्रुप, ग्रुप ए इज अ सब ग्रुप.
I understand. I think this is one of those things which majority of the people miss out on, which is active listening. Right?
Yes.
सारे बंदे वहाँ पे बोलने के लिए पहुँचते हैं. Nobody goes there to listen to other and understand moreover. है ना? If you cannot understand your teammates, तो मतलब बाबा फिर टीम वर्क में दिक्कत आता ही है फिर, है ना?
सर क्योंकि अगर आप सुनोगे नहीं ना, तो वो भी आपकी बात नहीं सुनेंगे. People used to listen to me during the GD screening में, because I used to listen to their points and not just कि उनको देखकर नोट करना, gentleman I agree with you, that is all crap. Actually listen to what they want to say, because if you don't यार, imagine अगर आप उसकी जगह हो, कोई आपकी बात नहीं सुन रहा, be that. तो as soon as सब ग्रुप 1 का डिस्कशन खत्म हुआ, they made a pointer कि उन्होंने जो भी डिस्कस किया, let us add on to it. तो that is where I think पूरा गेम वहाँ पर ही खत्म हो गया, and hardly 20 seconds और से होगा हमारा, और उसके बाद असेसर ने कह दिया कि now you guys are done. That's it.
So you grabbed onto a golden opportunity because you were aware, you were present there in the moment.
And it was a very conscious thing in my mind कि अगर मैं ग्रुप 1 में आया तो नॉर्मल जैसे GD होता है वैसा करना है. तो ये प्लानिंग आपको पहले से करके जानी होगी, क्योंकि ग्रुप, अगर आप सब ग्रुप 2 में हो, यू वुड नॉट हैव एज मच टाइम टू डिस्कस, मतलब आप कुछ कर ही नहीं पाओगे. तो अगर आपने ये पॉइंट तक वहां पर नहीं मारा ना, तो देयर आर वेरी लेस चांसेस ऑफ यू गेटिंग स्क्रीन्ड कि यू डिडंट डू एनीथिंग कंस्ट्रक्टिव.
One of the things I tell my students is that जब fish market वाला scenario हो, तो you should ensure that the assessors should get to know about your intentions. And intention क्या होता है ना, that arrive at the final group story. It doesn't matter how you do it, है ना. तो उसके लिए ग्रुप को आगे बढ़ाना पड़ता है. तो I think आपका भी intent was clear in front of the assessors that you were there to get the job done, right?
हाँ, yes sir. Actually it is not about discussing or giving points, और मैंने character का gender बता दिया या aim बता दिया. No, it is about having a common group story. तो are you an asset to the group? Were you an asset at the end? That is all that they are seeing. आपने common group story बनाने में मदद की ग्रुप की, अगर हाँ तो आप in हो, नहीं तो you're out.
True, very true, very true. Right. So this was the screening part, right? And आपके ग्रुप में से और कौन-कौन screen in हुआ?
Sir, मेरे ग्रुप में ध्रुव राठौर, one of our students, he got screened in. One of my best friend also, and one more guy. That is only 3 people from our screening group got screened in.
All of whom were active listeners.
Yes. A, their narration was very good. B, the theme that they had chosen was according to the stimulus that was shown. And third, they were very cooperative during the discussion, very open.
Okay, excellent. So इसी बात पे एक छोटा सा मुद्दा छेड़ते हैं नितेंद्र.
Yes, sir.
So do you think just agreeing point blank with everything that people have to say in the group discussion, do you think that will make the cut or help me make the cut? जैसे आपने बोला कि cooperative होना पड़ता है, right?
Yes, sir.
So अगर मैं cooperative हुआ, तो फिर I would end up agreeing with everyone, right? I mean, how does that work out? Cooperative.
So in terms of screening की अगर हम context में बात करें तो ठीक है, अगर एक group of 15 people बैठे हुए हैं, अगर chest number 1 ने एक point दे दिया कि यार लेट अस अग्री कि ये ना एक्सीडेंट का केस है, यहाँ पे दिख रहा है और आपको दिख रहा है कि एक्सीडेंट नहीं है यहाँ पे, तो यू नो पीपल आर जस्ट यू नो वॉकिंग, रोड का सीन है, एक को एक्सीडेंट दिख रहा है, एक जस्ट कह रहा है कि हम वॉक पर गए हुए हैं। तो अगर वो बंदा एक्सीडेंट कह रहा है तो से के दो आई अग्री विद, है ना, योर पॉइंट, मैं अग्री करता हूँ, बट आई वुड जस्ट लाइक टू पॉइंट आउट कि स्टोरी के स्टिमुलस में ऐसा ऐसा दिख रहा था, तो इट वुड बी मोर प्रूडेंट फॉर अस टू गो विद अ स्टोरी ऑफ यू नो जस्ट वॉकिंग, स्ट्रोलिंग। आप रनिंग के ऊपर स्टोरी बना सकते हो, यू नो, यू कैन मेक स्टोरी ऑन योगा डे और एनीथिंग, इट माइट बी एनीथिंग, बट जस्ट से कि आप अगर ये पॉइंट दे रहे हो डिसएग्रीमेंट में, तो आप क्यों दे रहे हो? तो अगर ग्रुप को एक्सेप्ट करना होगा तो करेगा, अदरवाइज से कि अगर आपका ग्रुप कहता है कि नहीं नहीं ऐसा करते हैं, तो देन गो विद इट, डोंट बी अ हर्डल, आप अपना पॉइंट रख दो, बट अगर ग्रुप अग्री नहीं कर रहा है तो गो विद द ग्रुप।
I think it's very similar to what we were earlier discussing, which is we have to conform, you know, to a certain level. Conform करना है only to the degree where you get accepted by the group, or where you are, I mean, listening to others and understanding their point of view does not imply that you're agreeing with them, right? So things which are of factual nature, you have to evaluate things on the basis of the merit, right? कि factually कितना correct है, and was there if the stimulus was there or not, right? So आपको उस perspective, you have to initially listen to things and then disagree with whatever you think is a misfit. So I think it's a trade-off of conformism as well as disagreement, right? कि आपको at least अच्छे manners, अच्छे etiquettes display करने हैं in the terms that you listen to everyone, right, and understand at least everyone, ठीक है? So और वो time वाला factor is it is there, and it also needs to be taken care of, I feel, कि because the time is very limited, right?
Yes, sir.
So ये तीन चीजें जो है ना, तीन चीजें ध्यान में रखने वाली बात है. Listen to people actively, agree to the parts that where they're sensible, being sensible.
Yes, sir.
Right, and disagree to the part where you feel that they're not being rational or sensible, or it does not make sense. Right?
Yes, sir.
And then also keep in mind that time wala factor hai na, so you need to be really active about all of this. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. And so at the end, I feel, you know, सबसे important चीज is to stay true to what the task is. If your task is to, you know, discuss, just discuss. If your task is to, you know, narrate, just narrate. And अगर वो task आपके दिमाग में clear है ना, the intention of the task, you would do everything right.
So I think right now we're discussing from the perspective of screening only, right? So
Yes, sir,
screening
yes, sir.
में तो clear cut defined task है, which is to arrive at the group story, right? At the
Yes, sir.
common consensus. ठीक है. So having understood the screening part, Nitendra, let's move on to the psych part. So psych part में how did it go? It must have been the next day, right?
Yes, sir.
So TAT में क्या अप्रोच था आपका, WAT में क्या अप्रोच था, and SRT, SD, like, you know, how did you introspect yourself? So
Yes.
एक और क्वेश्चन मैं अभी कर देता हूँ कि how much of it do you think was connected to you in real life?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the psych testing, be it TAT, VAT, SRT or SD, everything was connected to who I was as a person. There was nothing जो कि बाहर से आया हुआ था. As आपने ही सिखाया था, है ना, during our classes, कि जो TAT है, the full form हमें understand करना बहुत important है. It is thematic a perception test.
Yes.
It is not picture perception. It is a perception. तो ए परसेप्शन में जो भी स्टिमुलस दिखाया जा रहा है आपको स्क्रीन पे, आपको उसको अपनी जिंदगी से रिलेट करके कुछ ना कुछ सीखना है, एक स्टोरी बनानी है. तो इट इज अबाउट यू. इन पीपीडीटी इट इज अबाउट द पिक्चर. सो ये आई थिंक एक फंडामेंटल डिफरेंस मुझे बहुत अटेम्प्ट्स तक समझ ही नहीं आया. इट्स अ वेरी क्रूशियल थिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इट इज आस्किंग
about more about the what is the significance of whatever is happening, है ना? Why?
Yes.
उसका thoughts and emotions के perspective में significance people are not able to highlight.
Yes, sir.
And, on the other hand, when we come to the perception, so perception is more or less like, you know, it's factual oriented. कि देखा क्या
True, sir.
करा, action, है ना, वो सारी चीजें हमें थोड़ा ज्यादा highlight करने की जरूरत है.
बिकॉज सर ये आई थिंक एक कंपैरिजन में ड्रॉ करना चाहूंगा. लाइक पीपीडीटी की जब आप स्टोरीज बनाते हो तो यू एड अ लॉट ऑफ एक्शंस. it is not as emotionally, it is not emotionally very very rich. But when you're making TAT stories, you have to keep it emotionally rich because you have to define कि thoughts क्या थे बंदे के, और emotions क्या थे, what actions did he take. You have to keep एक सही proportion में आपको सब कुछ रखना है, actions भी, thoughts भी और emotions भी, और अपनी जिंदगी से relate करके रखना है. That is why they are asking for PIQ.
Very true. What actions, what significance do these actions have in the life of the central character? Affect कैसे कर रहा है और क्यों कर रहा है, वो सब चीजें. I think that's what needs to be touched upon. Yeah, actually.
Yes sir. Yes sir. So continuing with that sir, एक आपने R2R में हम एक मेजर एरियाज की लिस्ट आप बनवाते हो हमें, वो बहुत ज़्यादा क्रूशियल था. क्यों? तो बेसिक एक आइडिया मैं बता देता हूँ. तो मेजर एरियाज में हमारे जिंदगी के सारे डिसीजंस, हमारे सारे अचीवमेंट्स, हमारे रिलेशनशिप्स, लोगों के साथ कैसे रहे हैं, आर एस्पिरेशंस, हम उन सबकी एक लिस्ट बनाते हैं टू डिफाइन हु वी आर एज अ पर्सन. और एक हमारे पास एक आर्सेनल रहे of things and ideas and words to use in our psych test, which would be true to our PIQ and true to ourselves. और वहाँ से मेरा सारा VAT major area से ही था.
Your WAT is right? Your WAT is
हाँ, VAT WAT so क्योंकि VAT में अगर एक word आ रहा है hard work, तो I would relate it to mixed martial arts. I would relate it to basketball.
Very true.
I would relate it to my CDS का preparation, which is also highlighted in my PIQ form. तो it's a evidence. ये PIQ में जो है बंदे ने VAT में भी वही लिखा है, तो he is saying the truth, सच बोल रहा है.
I mean, rather than writing कि hard work leads to progress, if you say mixed martial arts में आप जा रहे हो तो drill improves let's say striking up.
Exactly sir. That's the kind of sentences I made.
Yeah, so general से हम specific थोड़ा सा जाने की कोशिश करते हैं. In a sense, at least, and major areas is something anything which has shaped your life significantly.
Exactly.
जिसमें touch up आपका character shape करा, आपकी personality shape करे, that is basically major areas. Yeah, so WAT is पे ये रहा, and then
major areas, yes sir. And then the SRTs sir. तो SRTs में one of the most important things we need to keep in mind is be practical. If there is a group of 15 armed men approaching you, do not start off fighting with them. Try to diffuse the situation by dialogue. And meanwhile, inform the authorities. Because that is what you would do. You can't even fight with 5 people, let alone 15. So use your mind. Do not give Rambo-esque responses, even though you might be one, but still don't write it. Okay. And stay true to who you are.
Interesting. ठीक है, so that was mostly SRT है ना? How did you practice SRT वैसे, Nitendra?
Sir, I actually did not practice SRTs. I didn't practice SRTs at all for this attempt. And मेरा response इस बार बहुत ज़्यादा different था as compared to the previous attempts SRTs करने का. I just followed your advice के just be practical. And I wrote only those responses जो मैं actual में करूँगा situations में.
Very nice, very nice. And self description की बात करें, I get this question a lot of times. People are very how should I put it, enthusiastic about getting their self description reviewed, right? So
yes.
A lot of times I just get self description of various people in the form of image, in the form of PDF, asking me to review this. Sir, just give me an idea. So how much of it do you think is important, self description का? ठीक है, what kind of a role does it play in the overall psyche? ठीक है, and how did you prepare?
Sir, when we talk about the SD ना, SD is an evidence जो उनके पास है, जिसमें आपने खुद ही लिख रखा है कि आप क्या हो. Now TATs, VAT, SRTs में आप शो कर रहे हो कि आप क्या हो वहाँ भी. And SD में आपने खुद ही लिख रखा है कि यार मैं ऐसा हूँ, मैं हार्ड वर्किंग हूँ, मैं ये हूँ, मैं वो हूँ. तो अगर आपकी स्टोरीज में वो नहीं दिख रहा है ना, तो वो कहेगा कि ये तो झूठ है. वो वहां पर ही आपको रिजेक्ट मार देगा बंदा. साइड हाउ वुड इवन आप खुद ही देख लो ना, आप जिस बंदे पे ट्रस्ट नहीं करते हो, व्हाई वुड यू इन्वेस्ट? इट इज ऑल अबाउट दैट. सो व्हेन यू राइट एसडी, राइट एक्चुअल ट्रूथ एंड मेक श्योर कि आप एसडी में वही लिखो जो एक्चुअली में आपका साइक टेस्ट में दिखता है, टीएटीज में, चाहे बैट हो गया चाहे एसआरटी हो गया.
lot of people have this opinion कि सेल्फ डिस्क्रिप्शन तो यार कहीं से भी उठा लो और लिख के आ जाना होता है बस, बिकॉज सबने तो वही चीजें लिखनी है.
हाँ ट्रू सर, बट it is a very wrong practice, I would say. Because you are writing somebody else's attributes and ज़्यादातर ये होता है कि adjectives लिख के आ जाते हैं कि I am hardworking, I am supportive, I am intelligent. ये don't write all this. Write what is true. What your parents think about you, write that. My parents think I am a responsible son. I take care of things at house. मैं अपने मेरा अगर कोई पेट है तो मैं उसका ध्यान रखता हूँ. मेरे अगर मदर हैं तो मैं उनका बीमारी के वक्त ध्यान रखता हूँ. बैंक जाता हूँ, कार की सर्विसिंग करा देता हूँ. They write all these things that you actually do at your home. Right? Be very simple and honest. I believe in the SD.
Okay. So how did you filter out your SD or create your SD? What did you do? What activities did you do? What steps did you take to write a better, more personalized self-description?
Sir, I actually took your help, if you remember. मैं आपसे काफी ज्यादा रिव्यू करवाता था अपने SD. तो I used to write it every day and I used to share it with you कि सर इसमें क्या ठीक कर सकते हैं और कैसे पर्सनलाइज कर सकते हैं इसको. वो भी हिट एंड ट्रायल प्रोसेस ही था मेरा और एंड में भी मैं याद करके नहीं गया था सर SD. जो मुझे उस टाइम ठीक लगा वो मैंने लिख दिया था अपने SD.
वो लिखा.
I didn't think about it. Yeah.
Excellent. What I recommend, जो मैंने एडवाइस तेरे को भी दिया था, just find whatever you're writing, hardworking लिख रहे हो, सोच रहे हो आप, so just find 2 incidents from your life where you actually have been hardworking, right? तो मैं तो ये बड़ी प्रैक्टिकल एडवाइस देता हूँ. आप कहीं से भी कॉपी पेस्ट कर लो, माना ठीक है, बट जो भी आप कॉपी पेस्ट कर रहे हो ना, उसमें से हर चीज का 2 एग्जांपल्स ढूंढ लो लाइफ का एंड लाइफ में, राइट? एंड जो चीजें जिन चीजों का एग्जांपल नहीं मिल रहा है आपको, वो हटा दो. दैट्स इट. ओके. So talking about strengths and weaknesses, Nitendra. So how did you analyze your own strengths and weaknesses?
Sir, I have a habit of diary writing. So I write every day. Every day भी नहीं तो हर second day तो मैं लिखता हूँ regarding my day. तो I used to write कि मेरे अंदर actually है क्या. And ये introspection process काफी 6 या 7 महीने चलता रहा है. When you give SSBs तो आप over time आप खुद के बारे में जानते जाते हो. तो what exercise I did was I collected all my friends और उन सबसे मैं अपने अच्छे बुरे attributes पूछता था. I listed them out and I noted it on a piece of paper कि मेरे friends का opinion हो गया, मेरे parents मेरे बारे में ये सोचते हैं, teachers ये सोचते हैं, managers ये सोचते हैं, मैं खुद ये सोचता हूँ. और उसमें से जो चीज़ें similar थी वो मैंने रखी, बाकी मैंने हटा दिया. That's what I did, sir.
Interesting. ठीक है. I think one of the most effective ways to do it is this, right? So Nitendra, overall we've understood psych आपका कैसा गया, right? So now the question is, how was this particular psych attempt, your performance in psych, different from the previous attempts? How is it different?
Yes, sir. So in my humble opinion, 8th attempt में मेरा जो rejection था वो psych की वजह से ही था, because I was not approved by the psych, I think, because the conference was very very short. Despite of having a good performance. इस बार मैंने अपना TAT काफी ज़्यादा सुधारा था. And सुधारा in the sense कि when I got in touch with Road to Recommendation and with you, I understood कि TAT is the main issue. वही ठीक नहीं हो रहा है. So I worked very hard. I must have written around 150 to 200 TAT stories. I used to write every day. Every single day I used to write 10 to 20 stories. और वो stories लिखते मेरे responses ठीक हो गए.
This is one of the things that I'd like to say कि practice makes any person better, right? And there's a problem which I face with majority of my students due to work commitments, due to this and that. They're not able to write sufficient number of stories and get them reviewed. So what made a very clear-cut difference is that despite having a job, despite going to practice MMA, you were still writing quite a lot of stories throughout the duration of the course. So this is very crucial for anyone else also. Anyway, so yeah, coming back to your answer.
Yes, sir. So TATs, I think, as we all know, 70% weightage तो TATs का ही होता है. And एक बार मेरे वो ठीक हो गए ना, and I didn't know कि वो ठीक हो गए, but God willing वो ठीक हो गए इस बार. And TAT was the defining factor, sir, I believe. It wasn't VAT or SRT or SD. It was the TATs. It was a game changer.
Interesting. Okay. And right, so TAT was much different than previous attempts.
Yes,
right? WAT और SRT में भी कुछ difference था?
वैट और एसआरटी में नहीं था सर। टीएटी में मैं एक और आई थिंक पॉइंट बताना चाहता हूँ कि टीएटी में पिछले अटेम्प्ट तक ना मैं बहुत ही एक तरह की स्टोरीज लिखता था, यू नो, related to either preparation or going for a trip or a trek or doing an adventure or preparing for something. This time consciously I made a call कि कुछ मेरी ऐसी स्टोरीज होंगी जिसमें there is some innovation is being done because I'm an engineer, I innovate things. कुछ स्टोरीज ऐसी होंगी जिसमें मेरा पर्सनल नेचर दिखेगा, जिसमें मेरे इंटरपर्सनल रिलेशनशिप्स जो हैं वो बाहर आएंगे। कुछ स्टोरीज ऐसे थे जिसमें आई वाज प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर समथिंग, प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर बास्केटबॉल टूर्नामेंट। कुछ स्टोरीज ऐसे थे जिसमें आई वाज ऑर्गेनाइजिंग अ टूर्नामेंट, आई वाज ऑर्गेनाइजिंग अ पार्टी, बी इट अ पार्टी, यू नो, डजंट मेक अ डिफरेंस। और कुछ स्टोरीज ऐसे थे जिसमें आई वाज जस्ट, यू नो, sharing who I am as a person, sharing the kind of books I read, sharing the things I do. So ये अगर पॉइंट अगर हम सब स्टूडेंट्स अगर ये ध्यान में रखते हैं तो डीएटी आपकी काफी रिच हो जाएंगी, काफी एक स्ट्रॉन्ग डोजियर रहेगा आपका साइड का।
I think you diversified, is what I would say. You were able to display diverse sides of your own personality, and I think that is the need of the, like, you know, the test. You should be able to highlight all the facets of your personality. Otherwise, तो क्या वो है ना, कि because that is
ऑर्गेनाइजिंग एबिलिटी दिखता रहेगा ना फिर आपका, अगर आप सब चीज ऑर्गेनाइज ही करे जा रहे हो तो।
exactly, है ना, that is what majority of the people, like, you know, they falter there. Anyway, ठीक है, so this was this, right? So
Yes.
this was about the site. So two things we've already covered, right? Screening and the psychology. Let's get started with the interview now then. So interview आपका कौन से दिन पे
Yes.
हुआ, पहली चीज, right? Second, what were the questions during the first 10 minutes of the interview, right?
Yes.
And how was it overall? आपसे बार बार क्या सवाल repeated तरीके से पूछे गए?
Yes sir.
So yeah, so let's get started with this.
Yes sir. So sir, as soon as we finished our psych test, हमारे CHM साहब आते हैं पीछे से और कहते हैं बाकी सब तो ठीक है, चेस्ट नंबर 24 को इधर भेजो, इसका इंटरव्यू है अभी। तो CHM साहब मुझे लेकर आ गए और विद इन आई थिंक नॉट इवन 5 मिनट्स मुझे पानी वानी भी नहीं पीने दिया कि आप सीधा जाके बैठो, the additional IO is going to take your interview. So within 5 minutes I was inside the interview room as soon as I finished off my psych test, which is a blessing in disguise.
And why do you think this happened? I mean, do you think there's any reason behind it?
No sir, I don't think so. अब I don't know उनके पीछे कुछ reasons होंगे, but बाकी सबका जो इंटरव्यू शुरू हो रहा था ना वो 1 घंटे बाद एक ब्रेक के बाद था, but maybe due to some reason मेरा इंटरव्यू was, you know, within 5 minutes as soon as we finished our psych test.
Interesting. फिर
And मैं अंदर जाता हूँ तो मैं पूछता हूँ सर कैन आई, यू नो, may I come in sir? He said कि आजा आजा यार बैठ, फॉर्मेलिटी मत कर। And as soon as I took a seat, he asked कि where are you coming from? So I gave him the requisite answer. He said कि यार तू you work as an engineer? I said yes sir. He's like okay फर्जी इंजीनियर तो नहीं है ना तू? I said no sir. Then the series of question came, sir. Basic CIQ regarding, you know, the place where I come from, regarding the job details of my parents, their educational background. My own. Then came CIQ number 2 regarding my educational backgrounds, hobbies, extracurriculars, the kind of friends that I like to move around with. Basic जो 40-45 minutes out of the 100 minutes जितना मेरा इंटरव्यू था वही चला सर, सिर्फ योर बेसिक CIQ questions.
Oh, interesting. Despite being a repeater, they like, you know, went on a CIQ वाला this thing. होता है
Yes.
वैसे, मतलब like, you know, quite commonly it is observed also.
Yes sir.
Fine. Okay. And initial 10 minutes में it was like, you know, the regular thing only, right?
हाँ, he was just warming up to me कि कहाँ से आ रहे, how's the train journey, and earlier I used to think this is a very, you know, it's a trick question, तो I used to rehearse बहुत ज़्यादा कि ये आया, ये स्टेशन देखा, तो this time I was like sir बस आ गया मैं ट्रेन से। He's like अच्छे से सोया रात में? Like, yes sir. He's like let's get started. Then the CIQ began. CIQ 1, CIQ 2, CIQ 3, you know, पूछ दिया फिर उन्होंने। Then he touched upon कि I actually got a compartment in 12th mathematics में. I passed it, no issues. Then thereafter I went for my SSB. We said कि तेरे एनडीए के इंटरव्यूइंग ऑफिसर ने तेरे को झाड़ा नहीं कि तू पास भी नहीं हुआ था. He's like, sir, I cleared my compartment exam. Then मुझे I gave my SSB. तो he's like, अच्छा you passed. I कहा yes sir I passed. तो we had a laugh उसके बाद. Then after CIQ 3 ना sir he asked me a lot of engineering based questions regarding my own subjects. He's like, कौन सा subject पसंद है? I said thermodynamics. He didn't ask me anything related to thermodynamics. Said strength of materials पे बात करते हैं. So we had few questions. As soon as he was done with engineering questions, उसके बाद he touched upon my interpersonal, मेरे parents के साथ relationship कैसे. वो भी I think CIQ based ही था. There was a weekend at CIQ number 4 related to my family. How do I spend time with them? How do I spend my savings? Have I saved up any money? How do I invest my money? How do I spend time with my sister? What kind of disagreements I have with my sister? So it is all related to whatever your
in your life, whatever day-to-day activities. Yeah.
He didn't ask me any question related to GK. No news. Nothing was asked.
So I think यहाँ पे ना एक और चीज में which you highlighted initial part में that the first question is like how did you come to this place. So उसको most of the people they see it as a trick question. So it depends from assessor to assessor, but most of all I think it's just him having a general chit chat so that you get relaxed, you get you get comfortable, है ना. थोड़ा बहुत एक आध दो सवाल का जवाब जैसे भी आपको लगता है डिटेल में आंसर करना है तो करो. लेकिन जरूरत से ज्यादा डिटेल में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है ना. जैसे जाहिर सी बात है ना कि मतलब आपसे पूछे और सब कैसा है, हम पूरी बचपन की कहानी नहीं बताने लग जाते हैं.
थोड़ा वर्बोस मेरे साथ भी आई थिंक इशू था सर. मतलब रिकमेंडेशन के अटेम्प्ट में भी ये था. तो ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ इंटरव्यू मैंने थोड़ा उसको क्रिस्प कर दिया फिर अपने आंसर्स. स्टार्टिंग में मैं भी ये इशू मिस्टेक कर रहा था सर.
होता है. ओके. So, did he ask you any questions which were repeated, or what was your general approach towards the interview, and how did you feel? Were you feeling nervous? Interview में घुसने से पहले क्या कर रहे थे आप? अच्छा, आप just psych दे के आए थे. We know.
Yes, sir.
We know that part already. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, sir, इंटरव्यू में my difference in approach 8th और 9th attempt में ज़्यादा नहीं था. बस ये था कि as I mentioned earlier कि थोड़ा मेरा हार्ड वर्क का थ्रेशोल्ड ना पार हो गया था. तो once you give so many attempts ना तो you stop caring. It becomes very repetitive and mundane, the whole process of SSB. So it was not just about I was not very excited actually, to be quite honest. I was very bored, same question. So I answered what was true and I was very relaxed क्योंकि मैं stress ले नहीं रहा था. मतलब I answered what was true. तो जो भी था मैंने सीधा सीधा उनको बता दिया. And be it regarding my mathematics का मेरा performance इतना खराब था. 11th में मेरे 55%, then I had 70%. That also after improvement in 12th.
Very interesting topic, Nitendra. So even after getting a what is it called compartment in
yes, sir.
in
yes,
class 12, right? So despite that, मतलब उसके अराउंड क्या सवाल पूछा आपसे इंटरव्यू में, इस इंटरव्यू में, पिछले इंटरव्यूज में क्या पूछा है, और how did you deal with it कि despite getting
yes.
in a compartment you got recommended. So थोड़ा सा इस पे टच अप करते हैं.
Yes sir. So थोड़ा डिटेल में मैं इसके बारे में बता दूंगा. तो क्या हुआ था सर 12th में ना I was not a very good student and I was not responsible. तो वो हमेशा ये देखना चाहते थे कि ठीक है यार तेरे 12th में खराब नंबर आए बट इंजीनियरिंग में तूने ओवरकम किया उस चीज को. एंड ये मैं समझ नहीं पाता था. तो मैं आई यूज्ड टू हाइड के सर मेरे नंबर कम इसलिए है कि मैं स्पोर्ट्स में ज्यादा ध्यान दे रहा था, विच इज नॉट ट्रू. स्पोर्ट्स में मैं ध्यान दे रहा था बट मेरे मार्क्स कम इसलिए है क्योंकि मैं पढ़ाई पर ध्यान नहीं दे रहा था. इट इज दैट. तो आई एक्सेप्टेड कि सर आई वाज अ वेरी बैड स्टूडेंट और मैं ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं देता था. इट वाज माय मिस्टेक. एंड एज सून एज आई एक्सेप्टेड ना दे स्टार्टेड एक्सेप्टिंग माय आंसर्स. जब मेरा खुद का एक्सेप्टेंस आया कि हाँ मैंने खराब किया मैथ में तो किया ठीक है, इट्स फाइन. But I worked very hard in engineering. I scored 78%, and I got campus placement in the very first top tier company. And thereafter I cleared CDS 4 times. So that gave me confidence. कि ठीक है, it's just a mistake. Everybody makes one.
Excellent.
So as soon as I accepted na, and as soon as I used to mention कि ठीक है sir, these are the steps that I took to overcome it. I became a good student. I followed, day-to-day routines. I was not random with my preparation. I studied every single day.
People try to hide their mistakes. I think that is not the way how it works in the SSB, right? कि आपने
Yes, sir.
करा है तो accept करो.
Please never hide your scars. Show what makes you who you are.
ठीक है. So okay, so this time around also इस वाले अटेम्प्ट में क्या क्वेश्चन पूछा गया था कंपार्टमेंट के अराउंड?
दे आस्क्ड मी यार तेरे को तो मैथ वैथ आती नहीं है, 12th भी तो ऐसे ही पास हुआ है ना, कंपार्टमेंट वगैरह देखे तो कैसे ऑफिसर बनेगा, मतलब क्या करेगा तू? तो फिर आई वेंट ऑन आई आंसर्ड कि सर ठीक है मेरे कंपार्टमेंट आया मेरा, बट आई पास्ड इट. एंड एज सून एज आई एंटर्ड इंजीनियरिंग आई मेड श्योर कि फर्स्ट टू नेवर गेट अ बैक. मैं कभी बैकलॉग नहीं आया इंजीनियरिंग में. एंड आई ऑल्सो इंश्योर्ड कि वट एवर आई स्टडी आई अप्लाई इट. आई ऑल्सो डिड one major and one minor internship. I did 2 projects. I got placed in the top tier company in my college. I was the first one from my branch to get placed out of a batch of 150. So all these steps I took. Also I cleared, FCAT 2 times. I cleared CDS 4 times. So now I think I've overcome that. And it was a mistake on my part. So everybody makes mistakes. So you have to be very, matter of fact about it. कि हाँ मैंने किया mistake तो it is fine.
वो तो हुआ exactly. Now that
वो
you
monster
also
बनाएंगे IO, मतलब IO would make a very big deal out of it, but that is their job. You have to tell them it is not so.
true, very true. ठीक है. So ये हो गया. इसके अलावा और कोई एरिया ऐसा ट्रिक एरिया और एरिया where you might have gotten uncomfortable in the interview?
Yes sir. So as soon as we were wrapping up with the interview, सारे questions हो गए थे. He had asked everything. So he said, "Okay, Nitendra, now we are done with the interview." And as soon as I was starting to stand up, he said, "यार, sit down. Your friend is dying. तेरा manager तुझे छुट्टी नहीं दे रहा. तू क्या करेगा?" I said कि sir, I'll inform my manager that my friend is in a very grave condition and that I need to go. He said नहीं दे रहा यार वो छुट्टी नहीं दे, तेरी छुट्टी और फ्रेंड इज डाइंग, मर रहा है वो. एंड हिंदी में प्रॉपर बात हो रही थी उस टाइम. सर वो तो मर रहा है. तो आई सेड कि सर आई टॉक टू माय मैनेजर एंड आई वुड एक्चुअली कन्विंस हिम कि सर मेरा फ्रेंड ना बहुत ज्यादा सीरियस है, जो भी मेरा काम है वो मैं वर्क फ्रॉम होम आई टेक यूज द ऑप्शन ऑफ वर्क फ्रॉम होम एंड आई डू इट. ही सेड नो यार नथिंग डूइंग है ना, तेरा योर फ्रेंड इज डाइंग यार, तू क्या कर रहा है, तू ऑफिस छोड़ के भाग क्यों नहीं रहा, तू भाग जा ऑफिस से, क्या प्रॉब्लम क्या है इसमें? I said no sir, मैं भागूंगा तो नहीं. I don't run away from my responsibilities. अगर मैं ऑफिस से जा रहा हूँ, I would take due permission from my manager. He said no यार nothing. I said कि sir I have paid leaves saved up. तो है ना, they will not say no generally, हो जाएगा. He said नहीं paid leaves भी नहीं है. Your friend is dying यार, तू जल्दी बता क्या करेगा. I said कि sir I talk to my senior management. मैं उनको कन्विंस कर दूंगा. अगर मेरे immediate manager नहीं सुनेंगे, तो मैं और बड़े seniors के पास जाऊंगा. I reach out to them and I discuss. कि सर ये सिचुएशन इज लाइक नो. तो आई सेड कि सर देन आई सेंड माय फैमिली एंड माय फ्रेंड्स टू माय जो भी मेरा फ्रेंड है उसके पास, एंड मैं वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस पे उसका सारा कुछ मैं अरेंजमेंट करवा दूंगा डॉक्टर्स के साथ. लाइक नो यार. ही सेड कि नाउ योर फ्रेंड इज डेड, ही इज डेड. तू अब भी ऑफिस से नहीं भागेगा. आई सेड नो सर आई विल नॉट रन अवे. तो ही सेड व्हाई. तो आई सेड कि सर अगर इतना सब कुछ हो जाने के बाद भी माय मैनेजर्स वांट मी टू स्टे इन द ऑफिस, there must be something of a grave situation जिससे कंपनी का बहुत ज्यादा नुकसान हो जाएगा. तो that is why I want to leave, क्योंकि there is a very critical task that I need to do. What I'll do sir कि I send all my immediate family to my friends' house. मैं उसका सारा जो भी last rites है वो करवा दूंगा. I'll coordinate it. I use my break time. ऑफिस के बाद के hours में यूज करूंगा सब कुछ. I'll manage. And as soon as I have leaves on the weekend, I'll reach his family and pay my respects. He said मतलब तू भागेगा नहीं ऑफिस से. I said नहीं भागूंगा तो नहीं. I don't run away. He said why don't you? I said कि sir मतलब if I'm part of a company, I have taken certain responsibility. Being a mechanical developer, they have entrusted me with a certain responsibility. And if I don't take it, who am I as a person then? मतलब I would not be a good anything if I can't अगर मैं अपनी responsibility से भाग रहा हूँ. I can't be a good person. He said नहीं भागेगा ना मतलब. तो I said no sir.
How did this come up ऐसे? How did this come up? Like
I have no idea. Out of the blue. As soon as I was starting to stand up and leave the room, and ये I think 10-15 मिनट का SRT था. He didn't leave. This went on for a long time, and he smiled थोड़ा सा. As soon as I said कि मैं नहीं भागूंगा sir, no matter what happens. He said okay.
ठीक है. So this was about the interview, right? एंड और कुछ तो नहीं छूट रहा है ना इंटरव्यू से रिलेटेड?
इंटरव्यू सर इट वाज वेरी बेसिक, जस्ट ये कि कुछ आउट ऑफ द ब्लू नहीं था, एक्सेप्ट दिस सिचुएशन एवरीथिंग वाज
कवर्ड एवरीथिंग, राइट?
हाँ वी हैव कवर्ड एवरीथिंग सर.
ओके. So ठीक है, so that was about the interview. Now coming to the GTO part, Nitendra. So GTO मतलब like GTO I think is somewhere where you excel quite well, right? GTO का experience बता दे एक बार फटाफट से, and was it different from the previous attempts? Was it the same, or what was different exactly? है ना? How was your performance different, or how did you handle? Because very quite frequently I get this question, सर हमें तो बोलने ही नहीं दे रहे थे जीडी में, ठीक है सर, हमें तो पीसीटी में पार्टिसिपेट ही नहीं करने दे रहे थे, कुछ कोचिंग वाले आके सर सारा सीन डोमिनेट कर रहे थे, वो किसी और को चांस ही नहीं देते. तो हाउ टू हैंडल सच सिचुएशंस, Nitendra? Because I think you've seen it very closely, so you are one of the best people to answer this question. So
Yes sir. So GTO मेरा ना over the course of attempts improve हुआ. जो मेरा 7th 8th 9th attempt even 6th attempt भी थोड़ा थोड़ा मेरा GTO in order आ गया था. Now in GTO you need to understand कि you are part of a group now. You as an individual do not exist till command task arrives. There is just group. You don't have an identity. So whatever you do, we start with the GD sir. There are 2 GDs है ना, GD1 and GD2. आपका task है to discuss as a group, so do that. It is not about giving pointers or ideas या सबसे ज्यादा बात करना. It is about आप जितना सुन रहे हो ना उससे कम बात, और जितना आप बात कर रहे हो उससे आपको ज्यादा सुनना चाहिए. बिकॉज अगर आप सुनोगे नहीं तो फिर आपको भी कोई बात नहीं करने देगा. तो दिस आई ऑब्जर्व्ड इन द जीडी. When I used to listen to other people, they used to stay quiet when I used to give my points, and I used to give such pointers कि बहुत ही constructive और different pointers होते थे जो कि ग्रुप डिस्कस कर रहे हैं उससे. There are 3 leads that we are given. I used to stick to one of them, जो कि मैं बिलीव करता हूँ कि सबसे ज्यादा important है. And I used to stick to it. Do not run away. Accept whatever they are saying. Say कि okay, just number 21. Though I agree with what you are saying, but I also believe this to be true, and give your point. And why I believe the point that I'm making is important. Give your rationale. उसके बाद नाउ जीडी के बाद जब हम जीपी में प्रोग्रेस करते हैं तो वहां पे बहुत ज्यादा फिश मार्केट बनता है, बहुत ज्यादा. जीपी इज वन ऑफ दोस थिंग्स जहाँ पे देयर इज केओस. नाउ अब आपको उस केओस को कंट्रोल करना है, बिकॉज दिस हैपेंड इन अ ग्रुप. हमारा इतना ज्यादा केओटिक हो गया था कि एट द एंड आई हैड टू से कि वी डू नॉट हैव टाइम गाइस, यू गाइस नीड टू शट अप and discuss according to priority. That is what I said. You guys need to shut up now. We have 4 priorities and we need to find a solution for them one by one. क्योंकि हमारे जो 4
don't you think, Nitendra, that was a bit rude on your part, like asking your team members to shut up?
No sir, at that point it was the prudent thing to do, because हमने सब कुछ कर दिया था. एंड के जीटीओ सर कह रहे हैं कि 2-3 मिनट जितने भी बचे हुए थे, और उसमें भी अगर ग्रुप कोई भी प्लान नहीं बना पा रहे, तो यू एज अ टीम मेंबर अगर आप स्टैंड नहीं करोगे ना अपने ग्रुप के लिए, तो फिर देयर इज केओस. कल को अगर आप ऑपरेशन पे जा रहे हो, सब बस शोर ही मचाए जा रहे हैं, एट द एंड यू आर अचीविंग नथिंग. व्हाट्स द पॉइंट? तो उस टाइम पर लोगों को शट अप करना और कहना कि यार चुप हो जाओ थोड़ा, वो जरूरी था.
ठीक है.
Yes,
so you had tried all other alternatives though?
हाँ, exactly sir. We had tried everything and they understood it also. And और वो सब कहने के बाद मैंने उनको ये भी बताया कि यार we need to actually discuss and prioritize. क्योंकि हमारे प्रायोरिटीज ही नहीं सिलेक्ट हो पा रहे थे कि फर्स्ट पे कौन है, सेकंड पे कौन है, थर्ड पे कौन है, फोर्थ पे कौन है. किसी का सेकंड प्रायोरिटी वाज द बकरी को जंगल से लेकर आना है. किसी का फोर्थ प्रायोरिटी वाज कि यार ढाबे का ओनर तो मर रहा है तो मरने दो, तो लास्ट प्रायोरिटी है. तो when these things happen ना, you have to act accordingly. मतलब SSB को don't just treat it as आप अपने फ्रेंड्स के ग्रुप में भी तो उनको डांटोगे ही ना, अगर वो लॉजिकल से बात करेंगे. Be that, be the voice of reason.
ठीक है. So
yes.
आगे फिर
this was PGT. Then we had our PGT sir after a break. Now PGTs में you have to understand कि you are there as part of your group and आपकी responsibility है सबको पार कराना. आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी खुद आगे जाना नहीं है. As soon as I accepted that fact, ग्रुप ने अपने आप ऑटोमेटिकली मुझे आगे कर दिया. I used to find myself with the at the very forward positions of the tasking, क्योंकि I used to help everyone out और मैं सबके आइडियाज सुनता था क्योंकि मेरे ग्रुप में ना chaos बहुत ज़्यादा था. What I used to do कि मैं सबकी बातें सुनता था. अच्छा अगर तेरे पास 21 के पास आइडिया है, 22 के पास है, 25 के पास है, 3 आइडियाज है. I used to tell them कि यार I'll implement it one by one. So तेरा आइडिया 21, I implemented it, didn't work out, चल 22 बता, 22 का नहीं हो 25 तू बता. और अगर उनसे पहले मेरे पास आइडिया है तो मैं बीच में बता देता था, guys I have an idea, let's है ना try it out once, and it used to work most of the time. So that is what I did. तो इससे क्या हो गया कि मेरे ग्रुप मेंबर्स को भी they found a guy who was actually willing to listen, क्योंकि कोई सुनता नहीं है. अगर आप सुन रहे हो ना सब, क्योंकि ग्रुप में एक बंदा होना चाहिए जो यार सुने भी. तो मैं सुनता था और मैं इम्प्लीमेंट भी कर देता था. तो दैट इज व्हाट हैपेंड इन माय
rather unique approach. Like I've talked to quite a lot of people, so this is a rather unique approach that I've come across. So
Yes, sir.
very interesting. Nitendra, ठीक है. So that was PGT, right?
Yes, sir.
Then
PGT के
you're able
बाद
to- overall you're able to at least decently perform in GT and PGT so far, right?
हाँ yes sir.
उसके बाद फिर
HGT also was the same thing sir. Half group task. Nothing different than the PGT. I was at the forefront. I don't know how or why that happened, but I was pushed at the very front and I was able to implement also. और इतने attempts की बात तो गधा भी सीख जाते sir. फट्टाबाजी का concept है. Cantilever, nothing else. No rocket
very
science.
good, very good. ठीक है फिर
HGT हो गया. Then we had our IOs obstacles the same day. I did 10.
interesting.
Yes,
That
sir.
is all time.
That is all 10. And that's how we finished our day 1 of GTO. Day 2 में we started off with our lecture topic. Now lecture one of the things that I would like to point out, that some of the people in our group, they were very fidgety. When they were speaking, they were constantly moving their hands. They were, stuttering. They were stammering. So as soon, it does not matter what type of topic you've been given in your lecturate. Just pick one topic that you're comfortable in. वो 4 टॉपिक में से. You don't have to go with the very सबसे ज़्यादा high level topic और सबसे ज़्यादा ये तो मेरा my best friend topic है. How can I talk on this? No. Choose topic my best friend and talk. You just have to speak on it for 3 minutes. It is better than picking up a topic जिसके बारे में आपको कुछ भी नहीं आता. Pick a topic. Just stay very grounded. Speak what you know with conviction. अगर आपको 2 मिनट आता है तो 2 मिनट बताओ और लास्ट के 30 सेकंड्स में ऐड ऑन थिंग्स जो आपको लगता है कि जो इम्प्रूव कर सकती है उस चीज को. है ना. फिनिश योर 3 मिनट्स, कम बैक, बी कॉन्फिडेंट, स्पीक स्लो, स्पीक वेरी क्रिस्प.
Right. So I think this is very true. Lecturate more than anything else is about. You don't have to be Einstein. You don't have to be Isaac Newton. You have to just portray what are your thoughts about that. For that, you need to be really comfortable with the topic, right?
Yes sir.
So, and without that, people they have a tendency to screw up 100%. Okay, so this was on the second day. Lecturate हो गया आपका, है ना? Then
Yes,
command task was there.
Yes sir. After that we went off for our command task sir. Now I was the first one to be called for my command task, and my command task lasted for around 40 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
तो काफी
40
बड़ा
to
command
45
task था.
minutes.
Yes sir.
That is interesting. I mean, usually there's a ongoing myth around कि command task में last में बुलाते हैं अगर आपको recommend करना होता है और this
Yes.
and that, right? So I think this goes against that. And 40-45 minutes. So like, what was going on during this?
So sir, in my command task there was a circular structure. उसमें 4 modes of entry थे. बीच में there was a bomb kept. It wasn't a bomb task, but just an object kept, and had to. So the proper term would be material retrieving task.
Okay.
For that.
Okay.
Material को अंदर से retrieve करना था. Were 4 modes of entry. I was given a U-shaped structure. एक फट्टा था और एक trapezium था. There was no rope or anything. एक trapezium, एक U-shaped structure and एक फट्टा. Now मैं जैसे मैंने अपना आइडिया लगाना स्टार्ट किया तो उन्होंने कहा चल यार तू अंदर तो आ गया, बाहर निकल जा. Now the structure is broken. तो सेकंड से पूछा, सेकंड से बता दिया. He said no, go back to first one. Give me another idea. The structure is also broken. फिर एक और आइडिया, फिर सेकंड पर फिर से गया तो वहां से पूछा, फिर मेरे को अंदर उन्होंने घुसा दिया कि अब तू अंदर खड़ा हो जा. Then he said कि now make your subordinates do the task. यहाँ तक तो ठीक है, मेरे 2 subordinates थे तो हम साथ में कर रहे थे. Then he said कि now instruct them. तो मतलब that was his intention कि मैं अंदर से रहकर मैं उनको instruct करूँ. तो I gave.
This is the first time I'm hearing anything like this, because mostly we get to see कि lead by example. So the commander leads his men throughout the command task. So
Yes sir.
Exactly opposite of that. So इस पे
Yes,
थोड़ा सा elaborate करते हैं.
Yes sir. So जब मैं अंदर खड़ा होता तो उन्होंने कहा कि यार तू है ना अपने बंदों से है ना जस्ट इंस्ट्रक्ट देम व्हाट टू डू, अंदर खड़े रह के कर सब. अब वहां पर सर मुझे स्ट्रक्चर्स नहीं दिख रहे थे कि है ना कौन सा होके कहाँ से फट्टा फंसा सकते हैं, कहाँ ट्रेपेजियम जा सकता है. इट वाज अ वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड टास्क. तो मेरे जो फ्रेंड्स आए हुए थे दोनों, तो मैंने उनको कहा कि आपको क्या स्ट्रक्चर में दिख रहा है, इज देयर अ यू शेप्ड स्ट्रक्चर, कुछ दिख रहा है जहाँ से फट्टा फंसा सकते हैं. तो फिर मैंने वहां से आइडिया दे दिया, आइडिया नंबर 5. ही इज लाइक नो यार ये आइडिया तो बोरिंग है, कुछ और बता. I gave another idea. He said नहीं यार अब तो the structure is broken, तेरा फट्टा मैं तोड़ के फेंक दूंगा. इधर कुछ और बता. तो फिर एक और आइडिया बता दिया. तो ठीक है वो आइडिया हो गया. Then he said यार तू तो फर्जी इंजीनियर है, तेरे को तो कुछ आता नहीं है, तेरे कैंटिलीवर बनाना नहीं आता, टाइप्स ऑफ कैंटिलीवर बता. I said I don't know sir. कहते यार तेरे को तू पास कैसे हो गया इंजीनियरिंग, ये वो. Said कि चल. तो जब फोर्थ स्ट्रक्चर पे पहुंचे तो उन्होंने कहा कि यार दिस स्ट्रक्चर इज आल्सो ब्रोकन, नाउ गिव आइडियाज. तो वहां से भी आइडियाज दे दिए. तो ऐसे करके सर आई थिंक 10 से 12 उन्होंने सॉल्यूशंस पूछे, चारों के ऐड करके, चारों मोड्स ऑफ एंट्री के, बाहर जाने के आइडियाज. तो इट टुक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. सो 40-45 मिनट्स के आसपास हो गए. तो बहुत टाइम लग गया था, हम तो बोर हो गए थे खड़े खड़े वहां पे. ही सेड ओके कमांडर यू मे गो नाउ. That was that sir, very big command task, and I was called by 2 other people from my group out of 8 people.
Interesting. So command task आपका ऐसे हुआ, right? And
Yes, sir.
so फिर बचा क्या इसके बाद आपका? I think final group task बचा हुआ
FGT.
है ना?
Yes sir.
That's it.
Yes sir.
Right.
FGT also sir I was able to perform quite well. उसमें भी मेरे आइडियाज आ गए और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन भी किया, क्योंकि FGT यूजुअली हमारे फट्टे वगैरह थोड़े ज्यादा बड़े होते हैं तो स्ट्रक्चर का हाइट बढ़ जाता है. तो सम ऑफ द पीपल हु रिफ्रेन फ्रॉम यू नो हाइट्स, उन्होंने अवॉइड किया और वहां पर थोड़ा मैं आगे आ गया, मुझे डर नहीं लगता था. तो 1-2 बंदे ना गिर गए थे उस स्ट्रक्चर से. तो मैं कहा कि यार नाउ आई विल गो, ठीक है कोई नहीं. तो आई वेंट, तो फिर वो हो गया टास्क. तो FGT का भी ये भी आई थिंक एक पॉइंट था. अदरवाइज FGT एज यू नो सर इट्स वेरी फॉर्मेलिटी होती है तो बस.
हाँ डेफिनेटली. ठीक है. So that summarizes the psych, the screening, the interview, the GTO, everything is done. Now,
Yes, sir.
इसके बाद वापस आके like you know what was the mood candidate lines में, and थोड़ा मस्ती मजाक क्या चल रहा था, like you know
Yes,
अगले
sir.
दिन का क्या anticipation था. So
सर कैंडिडेट लाइंस का तो मैं बताना चाहूंगा, मैं 5 दिन मस्ती की है बस वहाँ पे. आई वाज लीस्ट बॉदर्ड विद द SSB. बस मेरे दोस्त बन गए थे काफी, और बस भूत की कहानियां सुनाना, हॉरर स्टोरीज, यहाँ वहाँ मस्ती करना, थोड़ा बहुत माफिया, एज यू नो रिपीटर्स माइट बी अवेयर. तो मैं कुछ नहीं करता था एक्चुअली, सारा दिन बस मस्ती करना वहाँ पे SSB में. एंड दिस वाज वन ऑफ दोज अटेम्प्ट्स कि आई वाज नॉट बॉदर्ड, क्योंकि मेरा इतना ज्यादा हो गया था ना कॉन्फिडेंस आउट होकर कि आई हैड एक्चुअली गॉटन बोर्ड विद द प्रोसेस ऑफ द SSB. आई जस्ट वांटेड टू गेट आउट.
this is something which is common between like you know you and rank 85. So अभी recently उसका भी interview करा था. His name is Shyam.
Yes.
So both of you like you know when it comes to the interview, both of you said the same things, that we were not excited too much, है ना. वो तो बेचारा अभी conference out होके ही आया था just. So I think
Yes,
being able to hold the excitement and controlling the nerves is one very crucial aspect of like you know giving a successful interview, and being
Yes.
there, not being fascinated by it, not saying things just for the sake of saying things.
Yes, sir.
Like you know it matters in the interview. Okay.
So because once you know that you know you are somewhat deserving, I won't say deserving but somewhat deserving, कि you know I've done enough that now I should be able to make it. तो वो आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं कहूंगा, एक आ जाता है, एक सेल्फ बिलीफ एक आ जाता है कि ठीक है इट इज फाइन. अगर नहीं भी होता, I've done everything that I could have. लाइंस में तो माय फ्रेंड्स थॉट आई वुड गेट रिकमेंडेड, बट वो तो हर बार ही कहते थे सब आखिरी के 5 अटेम्प्ट से यू वुड गेट रिकमेंडेड, एंड हुआ कभी नहीं था. ऐसे क्या पास बंद करो, है ना, मस्ती करते हैं. तो आई यूज्ड टू गो टू द कैफेटेरिया, बस वहाँ पर ही पड़े रहते थे सारा दिन. When the conference day came, no sir, the day 5, then थोड़ा बहुत excitement आया कि चलो, now it's time.
Okay. So before the conference, were you expecting that you will get recommended?
No, sir.
Conference कैसा चला, क्या चला, and like what was the overall scenario on the day of the conference? So let's talk about the day of the conference.
So, sir, conference में I was not expecting I would get recommended. I knew कि फिर से conference out होगा. I was very shocked. Despite of having a good performance, I knew कि psych test पे depend करता है. अगर psych impress हो गया तो हो जाऊंगा. Otherwise I'm out. क्योंकि कुछ भी different नहीं था sir actually. मेरे अप्रैल के attempt से और इसमें. अगर psych test हटा दें तो. I was not excited. Then we were addressed by the deputy president of 31 SSB, and he addressed us. After that, I was chest number 24. So I had a wait time of around 2 minutes outside the conference room. और मैं बस यही होप कर रहा था कि यार थोड़ा तो बॉडी डिजाइन केस में बन जाऊं. मेरा बस यही एम था कि मेरा ना वेट टाइम 15-20 मिनट हो जाए. एंड दिस वाज एक्चुअली व्हाट वाज गोइंग थ्रू माय माइंड कि यार मुझे रिकमेंड हो ना हो, बस मेरा इतना हो जाए कि ना 10 या 15 मिनट का वेट टाइम है, तो मुझे ये पता हो कि मैं बॉर्डर लाइन तक तो पहुंच गया हूँ. वो एक दैट दैट बीकन ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट, बिकॉज एज आई हैड मेंशन्ड अर्लियर कि मेरा
to go one step further.
Exactly. I was short rejected in every conference before this. Short rejection. As है ना, you told me कि यार है ना short rejection ही आ रहा है अब तक तो. So I knew. तो that was going through my mind and I was है ना, I had my fingers crossed कि यार बस 10 मिनट हो जाए. ये नहीं कि मैं recommend होऊंगा, but 10 मिनट के ऊपर हो जाए बस. 10-15 मिनट, that's it. And 2 मिनट बाद ही buzzer बज गया. Okay, हो गया conference out. तो as soon as I was entering ना, I knew. हाँ, I was heartbroken even before I entered the conference room. And 31 and 32 SSB का conference room is very huge, very grand. I was not expecting it. I was a bit shaken. So I said, okay. So as soon as I entered, so the deputy president asked me, कि यार Nitendra, what is that one interesting thing you've done? I said, sir, I played basketball. And he was so मतलब उन्होंने हंस दिया कि चलो ठीक है whatever. But he was like, क्या बोल रहा है यार तू? Then he said कि what are your chances of getting recommended? I said, sir, I have quite a good chance of getting recommended because I have worked very hard throughout the course of attempts, and with each and every attempt I have made improvements in my performance, and this time I'm confident that I'm making it. He said, what if you don't get recommended? He said, sir, I'll congratulate and party with my friends who get recommended. I'll go back home, introspect, write down areas of improvement, come back, get recommended. So, and I said it with utter confidence. He said, okay.
Conviction. तो यहाँ पे फट्टे मार रहा है फिर, है ना, कि मतलब you were getting those you were being heartbroken.
No sir, but that came automatically. Even I don't know where that came from. During that conference, whatever was true came out. They also asked me कि after that they asked me, how was your stay, how was the food, did you enjoy your stay? I said, okay sir, the food was good, fine sir, everything was okay. Then he said, okay, you may go now. The conference must have lasted just for 2 minutes. Yes, sir.
Oh, interesting. And someone told me that you were crying also. When your chest number was called out.
Yes, sir. A little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Like, what was the feeling? Let's talk about that.
So, sir, जब रिजल्ट अनाउंस करने आए थे तो मेरे ना स्लीव्स पूरे फोल्ड किए हुए थे. And I knew कि I'm getting conferenced out. So I was sitting with chest number 21 who also got recommended, and the psych when he took out the name. So he said chest number 21. So I was congratulating my friend कि अरे congrats यार, and you made it, ये वो. उतने में उन्होंने 24 कह दिया, and I was chest number 24. So I got up. I said I could not take my name for 3 बार तो मैं अपना नाम ही नहीं बता पाया. मुझे भरोसे नहीं. Oh, I got मेरी सिलेक्शन होगी ये टाइप्स.
Oh, पाकिस्तानी रोटी.
हाँ, yes sir. उसके बाद I was ecstatic, bit emotional also. And yes sir, it's once in a lifetime moment. मेरे साथ ऐसे कभी नहीं हुआ कि मैं इतना ज्यादा वो शॉक हो गया हूँ कि मैं अपना नाम नहीं बता पा रहा हूँ. That was the only time.
That's interesting. वो ठीक है, चलो ये वाला तो होता है. What was the did it sink in? Like, I've talked to quite a lot of people, and in fact, from personal experience, I know it does not sink in immediately.
सिंक इन तो अब तक नहीं हुआ है सर.
Like for me, I think I got it too early on, but struggles to the not
Yes, sir.
related to SSB, but or related to life in general.
Yes, sir.
So मेरे को थोड़ा sink in होने में time लगा, but for someone who has aspired for it as long as you have worked for it too, है ना? जैसे मैंने भी करा था, but
Yes, sir.
not very specific to SSB. I had not even given एक भी attempt before graduation.
Yes, sir.
How did it feel? I mean, in that particular moment, कि अच्छा चलो finally हुआ. Was it anything different, or is just another feeling?
नहीं सर, it altered the course of my entire existence. That one recommendation. और उसके बाद भी medicals में I had some issue, but अब clear हो गया. I'm all fit, set to join the academy. But वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा different एक emotion था. It wasn't I was not very very happy, very very sad. It was nothing. It was just out of this world, that experience. And sink in तो नहीं हुआ है सर अब तक, to be quite honest. एक dream जो आपने देखा है बचपन से, you sometimes when I think यार मैं actual में OTA जा रहा हूँ ना, तो you think यार हो सकता है अभी कोई और प्रॉब्लम आ जाए, कुछ और हो जाए. तो जब तक मेरिट नहीं आया था तब तक मैं भरोसा ही नहीं करता था कि मेरा हुआ भी है. I used to just prepare next upcoming CDS written examination.
We've had our share of conversations around this.
Yes.
That's wonderful, Nitendra, and thanks a lot for being willing to share your experiences with everyone here. All the best for your joining.
Thank you so much, sir.
When are you going to the academy?
सर भी dates नहीं आए final, but approximately 28-29 के आसपास September के आसपास जाना होगा. Yes.
Very close, है ना? Side time से interview कर लिया. बढ़िया.